Hello, everybody. It is Wednesday. It is July. It's the end of July. It is our season finale. And what an amazing show we have for you today. We are talking about the A-list. We are talking about celebrities on the move. We're going to be talking, big, big names. I mean, you name it. These names are mega. We are talking athletics royalties, we're talking music royalties, and we're talking royalty. We've even got Prince Harry we're going to be talking about on the show. What an amazing, amazing show. I tell you, I am so excited for our season finale. We've got with us today the wonderful Rekha Simpson and Shai Dayan from Vialto, who run an absolutely amazing podcast called Celebrities on the Move. If you haven't seen it, if you haven't heard it, please do download some of the episodes. They are great fun, and they're doing what we're trying to do with this. They're trying to make mobility fun, and well, it is fun, and it's just fantastic. A bit more of a plug coming on for that later, but anyway, that's what we're going to be talking about today. Celebrities on the Move. Now, everybody, you know how it works. Please join in the conversation. Write in the comments box. Tell us who you are, where you're coming from, ask questions as we go through, and we are going to have a load of fun. We've even got a musical surprise for you later today. We have got the biggest artist of the last 12 months has written a piece of music specifically for our show, and we are going to share that with you. Quite extraordinary. We have got, as I said, the biggest, most significant musical artist of the last 12 months performing on our show a song all about the view from the top. How incredible is that? And not only that, not only do we go A-list, not only do we share with you exciting innovations in the world, but you also get credits for it. So if you want your CPE credits, if you want them from ERC, we've got the GMS and the CRP credits there. If you want HRCI credits or SHRM, then courtesy of our great friends at Rocket Mortgage, we've got the credits for you there. So if you want those credits, I'll leave it up there for a moment or two, but just write down the code that you need, or get your phone out or screenshot it, whatever you want. I'll leave that up there for a moment because we know how much you all like your CPE credits. Meanwhile, what's been going on in the last 7 days in the wonderful world of global mobility? Well, let's find out. Let's find out what's been going on in our world over the last 7 days. Here we go. So there we go. Congratulations to everyone who's moved job in the last 7 days. Congratulations to everyone who's been promoted. And if you're looking for a new role, there's plenty of jobs out there. So look at those jobs and hopefully one of them is the perfect job for you. If you're looking to hire, then let us know and we'll try and promote your job. And indeed, if you have been promoted or you've moved job and you want to share with the industry your exciting news, then again, let us know and we'll try and feature you. But the other bit of big news, of course, is that this is our season finale. So after today, we are taking the month of August off and we are back in September. So we are going to miss you. We're going to miss you for the next 4 weeks, but it's time for a well-earned break for us. And whilst we're on the subject of holidays, let's bring onto the show the wonderful, our very own immigration guru, Julia Onslow-Cole, who's going to be giving us some holiday tips from an immigration perspective. So everybody, you know how it works. Hit the heart button, hit the like button, hit the applause button, and let's give a really big end of season welcome to Julia Onslow-Cole. Hey Julia, how are you doing?
Hi Brian, very well, thank you. Yes,
we're
it's really
in holiday mode. So tell us about,
much so.
tell us about holidays.
Yeah, it's a really great show, and I'm really looking forward to hearing more about the podcasts. Fantastic idea, and great to be talking about celebrities. But unfortunately, for the ordinary traveller, it's sometimes quite hard, particularly in holidays. One thing I was saying is a lot's improved because of technology. And I would urge you to look at Jen Fackelman from Nomadic's blog, which is written about how the French processed 70,000 Olympic family visas in amazing record time with the use of new technologies. It's really interesting. But I know you had a family member that was caught up with this problem, and I've had a couple of queries last week of people who are in the UK with British passports who have been turned back from travelling to the EU. There was one case that hit the papers last week of someone who's actually travelling to Amsterdam, and they managed to check in online. They managed to actually go through security and passport control, and they were actually stopped before they boarded the plane. And the problem is that just before Brexit, 32 million British people renewed their passports, and the British government thought it was very kind to just add on to the 10 years that they were being granted up to 9 months of any unused period. So we don't know how many of these 32 million have these passports, but a significant number of people have passports which are more than 10 years. And if they're more than 10 years validity, they have to be reissued, and you cannot travel to the UK, the EU. So that's one piece that you should really be checking.
Yeah, I had literally exactly this on Friday, and with a family member who was basically told that he could not go. It would not be valid, even though you look at it and it
seems
clearly
ridiculous.
It's ridiculous because it says expiry date next year sometime, and it's not. It's invalid, and he had to do an emergency trip to the passport office to get a new passport.
Yeah, people are really unaware of it.
Very real issue.
Yeah, very real issue. Second thing is, actually, I would just say in passing, I have 2 British passports. And I do really think that if you do travel a lot, or you have executives that travel a lot, it really is quite useful
to actually do that. You've got 2 names?
No.
One for Onslow, one for Cole.
Yeah. So then our advice is that you should have at least 6 months left in your passport when you return from your trip. Some countries will say 3 months, but I think 6 months is quite good. Now, the other thing is we've had loads and loads of people who've been refused Schengen visas. So just as a reminder, the Schengen area encompasses 29 countries. and you should apply for your visa for the country that you are visiting first. And what happens is that there's a lot of backlog of appointments, and so people often just are a bit economical with the truth, and they say that they are going to that particular country that they're applying for the visa for, where they can get an appointment, but in fact they change their travel plans. And what a lot of people do is give information when they apply for the visa, and then they actually cancel those travel plans before the visa's issued. So we've had lots of people who have been refused a Schengen visa because when the authorities have checked, they see that they've actually cancelled those arrangements. And it really isn't great to have this reputation of applying for somewhere that you actually aren't intending to visit, because you need to build up a good reputation on Schengen. So that's an important thing to realise. The second thing is we've had lots of people who've been tempted to do a very cheap flight where you actually have to stay over, and then they've realised there's no transit facilities. So they've actually had to apply for a transit visa and leave the airport. And by the time you add all of that on, until the costs of your flight isn't making anything cheaper. So you need to be careful if you're trying to get a cheap flight. Make sure you don't need transit visas. The other thing is, we always say take evidence of your outbound travel. That's a standard thing you should really do. And on South Korea, we've got lots of people who are actually visiting South Korea. The Korean pop culture is really popular, and tourists are flocking there, and we've had loads of people going there this summer. And there's a national campaign called Visit Korea Year, and it's really good. There's 22 countries now permitted to travel without a visa, or if you need a visa, you can get an e-visa for 90 days. So that's really important. A few more top tips is, if you want to check out whether or not you need a visa, the IATA website's really good, and that's the one that airlines use. The other thing, that this might sound really obvious, but if you are a genuine tourist, please don't be tempted to take a business visit visa. You really should apply for a tourist visa. That does sound obvious, but we've had lots of people get caught up with that. And then finally, I was just going to quickly turn to the Middle East because I'm there so much, but it really is quite a hotspot for travel. And in fact, my own holiday plans, I actually would like to go and see Al Ula in Saudi Arabia. But it's very popular. Dubai, the numbers are up 9%. And there's discussions going on now about having a GCC Grand Tours visa, and that will cover 6 countries in the Middle East. It's still an idea, it's still being talked about, but that will be quite exciting. But if you're going to Saudi Arabia or other countries like that, you need to be very careful, because there's a lot of confusion around things like how long you can stay, and it's quite difficult sometimes to find out all of the different dates from your endorsement. But my final tip, which I got caught out by traveling to Riyadh the other day, which I didn't do, which I would highly recommend no one else doesn't do this, is if you have an e-visa for Saudi Arabia or any other country, you should really try and print it out before you leave, because I found I landed in the middle of the night and the Wi-Fi was very iffy, and actually I was unable to show them my visa. So always try and get a hard copy. That's a really top tip.
Okay, and add some more in there. Make sure your phone is charged if you're using a electronic boarding pass.
Yes.
Make sure you've got spare pages in your passport. And also, Julia, I know we've talked on it before, but if you're traveling with a child, take proof that you're the parent.
Yes.
I know we covered that on one of our shows when we were talking about separated couples. So anyway, it's a fascinating subject. Hopefully everyone gets away on their holidays, on their vacation.
Yes. I'd like to wish everyone a really lovely holiday. It's been a really lovely time, and looking forward to seeing everyone in September.
Absolutely. So Julia, for the last time this summer, many thanks for all your help over the last few months on the show and years on the show, and look forward to seeing you in September. We're now going to move on. We've got as our change maker for the week the wonderful Lily Morehouse from Delta. So again, carrying on the holiday theme, we've got How good is that? We've got an airline to talk about. So everybody, you know how it works. Hit the heart button, hit the like button, hit the applause button. Let's say thank you to Juliet Onslow-Cole and to welcome onto the View from the Top stage, Lily Morehouse. Lily, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
How great. We've got an airline on the show.
Yeah.
Great airline it is too. So Lily, tell us a bit about yourself and a bit about, I mean, obviously everybody knows Delta, but tell us about Delta from a mobility perspective.
Sure. Yeah. Well, hi, everybody from Atlanta, home base of Delta Airlines and also where I live. So excited to be here today. Yes, I've been in mobility. I think this is year 9. I was just trying to count really quickly as I was in the green room. And it's been a great 9 years. I can't imagine doing anything else at this point. But I started my career.
You're in it.
You're in it. Yeah. Anything else seems boring. Yeah. But I started my career as a social worker, which is actually not boring, but exhausting. And then just by sheer chance, I kind of knew someone who knew someone and landed myself in a mobility role. And I had no idea what mobility was. I was Googling it quickly in the car before I went in for the interview. And they were probably just like, this girl's a social worker, so I'm sure we can get her on payroll real cheap.
I've got to cut across you here for Brian's comment. Lily's the mobility industry's best drummer too. Tell us, what's all this about?
Yeah. So for those of you who were maybe at Reloadpalooza in Raleigh, North Carolina last month, I got pulled on stage by the keynote speaker to play the drums, which I do not do. I have never held a drumstick in my life, but he taught me a few beats and I did a little drum solo. And I actually panicked when he started to say there was a musical guest on this show, because I was like, oh no, they're going to think it's me if they were at Reloadpalooza, but it is not. No one is ever going to have to hear me.
No disrespect, but the guest we've got who's written this song for us is the biggest name of the last 12 months. It's a huge name, and we're going to play a little game later to see if you can guess who it is. But Lily, so tell us about the program at Delta. How many people do you move in a typical year, and what sort of locations?
Yeah, so I would say Delta's program, which was kind of at its max, was pre-COVID, and they had 300 assignees, most coming out of the US to countries on all the different continents. Right now, we're working our way back up since COVID, and we have almost 100 on assignment. So that's really exciting. And what's different about Delta is everyone going on assignment at Delta is going to work with one of our joint venture partners. So they're going to Mexico City to sit with Aeromexico in their offices, or to Amsterdam to sit next to KLM, and KLM and Aeromexico are sending employees to Atlanta to sit by us. So our biggest locations are Seoul, South Korea with Korean Airlines, Aeromexico, Mexico City, KLM in Amsterdam. We have people in the UK with Virgin Airlines, and then in Paris, France with Air France. So really exciting week for Delta with the Olympics this week as well.
Oh my gosh. And tell us, just change the subject slightly, Lynn. We always, we thank you very much for being a change maker. And as part of being a change maker, we support a charity of your choosing. Now, you've chosen an amazing charity. Tell us a bit about them.
Yeah, so I've chosen the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. So thank you, Benevo, and everyone else out there who supports them. So, unfortunately, leukemia is just a disease that's touched my life many times over the last 10 years. Unfortunately, I've lost 3 close family members to it. So it's an organization near and dear to my heart, and they're doing great work to help patients, to help research. So I help them in any way I can. Over the last 5 years, over the last 7 years, they've raised $1.7 billion for education and support. They help families with copays, so no one has to say no to a treatment opportunity because they can't afford it. They've paid out over $200 million in copays. And then the most important thing I think they do is they help patients match with clinical trials all over the United States. And those clinical trials, I know, bought me precious time with family that we wouldn't have had otherwise. So a super important cause to me, and really grateful that Benevo lets me support them.
And we're grateful to you. But tell me, what do you get out of being a change maker? What's, apart from the charity side, from the networking side, what do you get out of being a change maker?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, like I said, I'm in mobility for life now. So I'm a total mobility nerd, and I love getting to see what Benevo has coming up next. I'm getting to give input in that, which is awesome, about what I think would help my organization and I would love to see be implemented. And then, like you said, the network is just unmatched. Getting to meet people from some of the biggest corporations with mobility programs to share ideas, to see if they're having the same problem that I'm having, which is always a relief to find out that everyone is having the same problem. So just getting to see what's coming up next, and the networking is awesome. Okay, so if anybody out there is not a change maker and would like to be a change maker, then join us. It's fun, and we've got about 200 change makers now. So it's a really significant group of the world's leading mobility practitioners coming together. Yeah, and you guys have the awesome list of everybody published on Benevo, so you guys can go there already and see what charities they're supporting. If you have any questions about why it's great, feel free to reach out to me. Absolutely. So there, you heard it from Lily. If you're interested in being a change maker, you can approach us, or just approach Lily, or indeed any of the other change makers. They'll give you the lowdown on it. Lily, it's just been fantastic having you on the show. We're now going to move on. We've put together a season's highlight video of everything we've been doing over the last season. And what is really exciting about the video, watch the video. We hope you will enjoy it. You remember some of the people that have been on the show in the past. But listen to the music. Listen to the music, the soundtrack, because we asked the biggest name of the last 12 months, literally the biggest name the last 12 months, to write and sing and compose a song for us. So what we want you to do whilst we're playing it, and write in the comments box, is see if you can guess who wrote and who is playing and who's singing this song that was written specifically for us. As some people know, my catchphrase is hit the heart button, hit the like button, hit the applause button. And that is what we asked our singer to do in terms of building us our very own View from the Top song. So as the song plays, the video plays, we say goodbye to Lily Morehouse, and have a guess whilst you hear it, who is the song artist?
Woke up smiling, see the sunrise, chasing dreams right before my eyes. Step by step, I'm climbing high. With you here, I can touch the sky. Hit the heart button, hit the like button, and give your love to the view from the top. Feel the joy, let it overflow. Let the good vibes never stop. Laugh out loud under the clear blue sky. Moments captured as life passes by. Dancing through this golden day. In your embrace, fears all fade away. Hit the heart button, hit the like button, and give your love to the view from the top. Feel the joy, let it overflow. Let the good vibes never stop.
Hey, there we go, Tally. Good to see you. Tally, of course, our wonderful producer. So people have been a few guests, a few guests.
I know. And like hit the heart, but then hit the like, but I'm already there.
Exactly. And someone said it's Swifties. Yeah. We'll tell you. We'll put you out of your misery. So Tally, the biggest name.
I'm actually really disappointed with you guys. We were talking about that entity for so much during
It's
this
the biggest
season.
name in the world in the last 12, bigger
How
than
are
Taylor
you
Swift.
to guess? We've been talking about that entity so much.
And no
we
one's
tell them?
guessed.
No
We're
one
just
gets it,
super
huh?
awesome, great song. Tally, let's put people out of their misery. Who wrote the song for us and who performed the
Of
song?
course, Mr. AI.
ChatGPT. Well, or a version of ChatGPT, a similar thing to ChatGPT. We
It's a
use
very, very simple prompt. And yeah, that's just AI.
and that just shows, I mean, I don't know what that does to the music business, but that song was written in under 3 seconds.
Yeah.
Music,
It's the
lyrics,
first prompt I
everything.
just threw there. Yeah.
So incredible. Anyway, Tally, what other news have you got for us?
No, not much news. We're just going on holiday. I think we deserve it, and we're gonna see you when we come back in September, and we're gonna have the top 100 list announcement then, and we have a lot of other surprises for you. So
Absolutely.
yeah, stay tuned.
The top 100 is back in September, so we'll be announcing it sometime later on in September. And we've got a fantastic top 100 list for you next year.
I love it. Nicola, what did Shazam say? Oh, it was helpless.
I got Shazam ready. It was helpless. Absolutely. Yeah.
But that's not fair.
So nice try. Anyway, we're going to move on. We now want to talk about celebrities. We have got, this is going to be so much fun. I'm super excited. We've got Shai, Dayan and Rekha Simpson from Vialto, who run this just awesome podcast. So everybody, and we might have just said this before in the video, you know how it works. Hit the heart button, hit the like button, hit the
like
button,
and give your love to the view from the top.
And that's it. So everybody, you know how it works. And we're going to bring on Shai and Rekha now. Take care, Tally. Hey, Shai, Rekha, so good to have you on the show.
Hi.
You don't know how much I hate you guys. When I first heard about celebrities on the move, I thought, and I listened to it, and I thought this is so brilliant. My first reaction was, why the hell didn't I think of that myself? I thought, these guys have done something so clever. It really. And then I thought, I thought, can I rip this off? And I thought, no, that's just not on. That's not we.
You have to do a spin-off, Brian.
I thought the best thing is I'd get you guys on and we've lost Shai. Where's he gone?
Where's my co-host?
Oh no, what's happened? He's suddenly disconnected. Disaster.
It's okay, he'll be back.
He's coming back. Oh no.
He'll make his red carpet.
Well, we're going to have to carry on without him. Disaster strikes in the last show. I hope he obviously took
He'll
it
be back.
personally.
He'll be back.
He'll be back. So, Rekha, let's carry on and find out what happened. I think he must have hit the wrong button somewhere. Oh, here he is. Shai's back.
Hello, I'm making my
celebrity
entrance. I have to,
See, this is the thing about you. You guys, you record a podcast. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You can re-record. Live is live. Welcome to Live Board. Anyway,
Brian. It's so good to see you, Brian. Thank you for inviting us.
So it wouldn't be the same without it.
How did you get the idea? I mean, it's just a brilliant idea. Tell us how it all started.
Brian, first, I just want to take issue with your AI song. I think a lot of the celebrities we cover might be a little upset that AI did a song so quickly, but we'll get into that. Rekha, we should tell the story of how we came up with the idea. What do you think?
Yeah. Do you want to start?
Yeah, sure. So it's a good story. I joined Vialto in March of 2023, and I had some previous podcast experience. And when I joined Vialto, Vialto had a podcast called On the Move. And I got looped into a conversation with a bunch of the people who were working with the On the Move podcast. And Rekha, who also had some previous podcast experience, she was on that call. And Rekha and I had a really good chemistry. We could tell from that meeting that we had a good chemistry. And we kind of took our chat offline and we started talking with each other. And we were thinking, let's do a podcast together. That would be fun. And we were trying to think of an idea. And Rekha said to me, she said, well, we wanted to do something different, something out of the box, something fun, something relatable, something different. And Rekha said to me, I always wondered, how do the Kardashians travel all over the world? Like what kind of visa requirements are there? And then I said to Rekha, that's a really good idea. Why don't we do a podcast focusing on celebrities, how they travel, how they move around the world? Let's focus every episode on a celebrity. And that's how the idea came out. And from that idea, Rekha and I just bounced ideas off of each other. We made an outline. We presented it to the leadership at Vialto. Vialto was so forward thinking, and they were so just willing to work with us. And within a few months of the idea being presented, we had a podcast on the ground. So we're really lucky to be in.
It must be interesting conversations getting that through your risk management people. I know you always sort of say, this is only based on publicly available information. So
I think we were really lucky that we had, really forward-thinking leadership team that could see the vision, and we thought we wanted to leverage on the fact that we've got a lot of great experts around the world, and what better way to do, celebrities move around all the time to different countries. So what better way to do that, to showcase that, by talking about celebrities going to different countries. And so we were really lucky, I think, with we did a pilot, didn't we? So we based that on Eddie Murphy's Coming to America. And I think that really brought it to life for our marketing team, our leadership team. And I think they could really see how we could caveat it. And our podcast is very also hypothetical. So we come up with an idea, we have a celebrity or we have a sports person, and we hypothesize basically. So that makes it really interesting.
I love it, because it seems to be, each episode seems to be almost in like sort of thirds. So the first third, which is you guys sort of just chatting and sort of setting it up. There's a third all about the celebrity in question, and then there's a third about their mobility issues. And you've done some amazing people. Maybe just tell the audience some of the people that you've covered in.
Yeah, we'd be happy to do that.
And then what I'd like to do is, in the audience, when they tell you who they've talked about, let us know which one you want us to deep dive into, and we'll be guided by you as to who we talk about first. So yeah tell us.
Yeah, Brian, the whole point of this podcast was to bring immigration, to bring global mobility to a positive light. There's a lot of negativity about immigration and global mobility right now, especially in the United States. And we want to show the positive sides of that. There's so much good that can come out of global mobility and immigration. And when we talk about relatable people, celebrities, that is on the tip of everybody's tongue, I think that helps get people to want to engage with us. So just a few examples of the celebrities that we talked about. We knew that our debut episode, we had to come in hot. So we talked about Prince Harry. Prince Harry is living in the United States for a number of years now. We hypothesized about what kind of visa he could be living in the United States with.
Fascinating that he sort of admitted in his book to drug use. So
that was definitely
okay. Well, let's get into that in a moment. Tell us who some of the others were that you did on the show. Let's just go through a list of people.
Sure, yeah. I mean, we talked about Tom Cruise filming Mission Impossible in Dubai. We talked about Lionel Messi playing for Inter Miami in the United States. We recently did a Taylor Swift episode because she recently toured Japan. So we talked about what kind of visa regulations would allow her to tour in Japan. We did Beyoncé touring in the UK. We did Cillian Murphy coming to the United States to accept his Oscar for Best Actor at the recent Academy Awards. Rekha, who else have we done?
We've also done Rafael Nadal, Trevor Noah. We were talking the other day about Trevor Noah being one of my favorites as well. yeah, we've had, I guess from September, we've had about nine episodes so far.
And out in the audience, if there's ones that you'd like them to cover, then let us know. We've already had one comment from Christian. He said, "What about Rihanna?"
Rihanna's on our list, I think.
Yeah, we want to be an interactive podcast. We're always asking the audience, who do you want us to talk about? And one of the reasons that we did a Taylor Swift episode, apart from the fact that she's such a huge star and everybody seems to love her, is that so many people reached out to both Rekha and I, and they said, do an episode about Taylor Swift. We are Swifties. Do an episode about Taylor Swift. So Taylor Swift had just been in Japan. We have an office in Japan and Vialto. We brought in one of our partners in Japan to talk about the Japanese visa regulations that would allow Taylor Swift to tour in Japan. And we had a really fun and engaging conversation about Taylor Swift. And if anybody hasn't listened to the podcast, it's not just regulations. It's not just, the legal aspects of it. We get into the background of the character. We give our takes about the character. We talk about our relationships to the celebrity. So we have a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, the podcast.
Yeah, we generally I think it gives us the opportunity to research as well, doesn't it? So we might have a celebrity that, so Trevor Noah, I didn't really know much about. Shai did, so that gave me the opportunity to sort of research, listen to his podcast, which is really fascinating, and then deep dive into the requirements. So yeah, there is a tune in because there is good chit chat, bit of gossip, and also
and let's kick off. Tell us about the big one. I think when we did a poll on it, topped our league of ones people want to know about was Taylor Swift. So give us a brief idea of what you covered on Taylor Swift and a bit about her, what you guys found out.
For sure, yeah. So I think in February of this year, Taylor Swift went on a tour in Japan, and she played, was it 3 or 4 nights at the Tokyo Dome?
4 nights, yeah.
And she sold out the Tokyo Dome. It was an incredible show. I mean, everywhere she goes, she sells out. So Taylor Swift, of course, is an American. And in order for an American to tour in Japan, they need a visa. You can't just show up in Japan and make money and tour and get paid for a tour. So you need a visa. So one of our partners in our Japanese office at Vialto, his name is Noriyuki Tominaga. He was kind enough to come on the podcast, and we had a really engaging discussion with him about what the Japanese visa regulations are that would allow Taylor Swift to tour in Japan. And Rekha and I were always learning something new when we do this podcast, because I, of course, am a U.S. immigration attorney. Rekha is in Dubai, and she does, Middle Eastern and United Arab Emirates immigration. So we're always learning about other countries' immigration. And it was a really fun, engaging episode. I learned so much about Taylor Swift because I myself am not a Swiftie, but maybe I'm becoming one now after doing the episode.
I think so. And I think what's really great about the episodes that we do is we always find out that there's a specific visa category, don't we, for talented people, for sports people, for entertainers. So in this episode, the entertainer visa was discussed, and I think Shai and I think we were both really engaged by it because it was quite rule based in a way, and part of that sort of entertainer visa and that process is sort of evaluating the details of the performance, the size of the venue, who's going to be performing in Japan, whether there's a budget, obviously not an issue for Taylor Swift. And we also learned about the activities that you can also do on an entertainer visa. And
Taylor Swift going to Japan, it's not just Taylor, as Michelle's made the point, there must be hundreds of people of support that have to go.
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and we talked about this actually on the. We didn't talk so much about the crew in this episode, but we talked about it in episode 2, our Tom Cruise episode, where actually and he's filmed in the UAE, but in order to film in the UAE, under a certain category, you also do need permits. You need filming permits. So we started to think about, you know, the crew, and what do they do? What do they get? So yeah, it's not just about the movie star or the performer, but yeah, how do we make sure that everyone's kind of legitimately working and visiting these countries? So
we learned so much about the fact that whatever country you're looking at, most countries have some sort of entertainer visa category or performer visa category, but the way it works in different countries is very interesting. So we're learning about how the visa categories differ from country to country, and it's been really fascinating.
Okay. I've learned about the alphabet soup.
Yeah, you know, the United States is really focused on letters and numbers when it comes to visas. We love our letters and numbers: H-1B, O-1, TN, F-1, E-3. Other countries, not so much. So, you know, we're learning about the different visa categories, what they're called. It's all fun.
I'm going to show my complete ignorance. In the US, those letters, do they actually stand for anything? Are they just random letters that people have used?
You're putting me on the spot, and I'm going to take the fifth here. I think.
Well, we'll ask the audience. If anybody in the audience knows, when you do that,
they have to do with the statutory. They have to do with the statutory regulations, and they come from the statutory regulations. But H-1B, for example, it's a great question. Where did the H come from? Why H-1B?
We can talk about that on our next podcast.
Maybe we will.
So anyway,
I'm loving the comments. By the way, I can see people's Rob, Christian, your references to Taylor
pull
Swift
them up.
songs.
Yeah. Taylor Swift, amazing, absolutely amazing success story. And she moves with a whole team of people we've talked about. But let's talk about, I'll take another one actually, someone that's moved very much on their own. But Lionel Messi, I know you talked about him on your show. The greatest, the GOAT, the greatest of all time, for those of you who support football or soccer, call it what you want. So tell us a bit about him and how someone like him moves.
Yeah, of course. We're both big sports fans. I know that Rekha, you know, big England supporter when it comes to the football, right, Rekha?
Oh my goodness! If anyone listens to the podcast, I'm a bad Brit, but I'm trying.
But Lionel Messi is one of the most famous footballers in the world, probably the greatest player to ever play. The Ronaldo fans might not like to hear that, but it's probably true. So Lionel Messi recently, within the last year and a half, he decided that he was going to take his career to the United States, and he was going to play for Inter Miami in Miami, Florida. So you need a visa to do that. He's an Argentine. He also holds Spanish citizenship, so he's a dual citizen of Spain and Argentina. So we had a really good conversation with our colleague who does U.S. immigration law. Her name is Raha Tarabi. So shout out to Raha. She came on and she did a great job on that episode. And we spoke about what kind of U.S. immigration regulations would allow Lionel Messi to come to the United States and play in the United States. Lionel Messi, we don't know for sure because we don't represent Lionel Messi. We don't represent any of the people actually that we talk about. But we hypothesized that he probably came on an O1 extraordinary ability visa. And it probably would be very easy for Mr. Messi to get such a visa as one of the most acclaimed athletes in the history of the world. We had a really great conversation, and we would encourage everybody, if they haven't listened already, to go back, listen to our Lionel Messi conversation. Rekha and I have a fun conversation about our footballing knowledge, or soccer knowledge, as I call it. And yeah, I mean, combining football and soccer with U.S. immigration, I mean, who's doing that? We're doing that, and we're having a great time doing it.
And we'll do it again.
Yeah, you must carry on. And I saw a comment here. Nicola said, see if I can pull that up. He said, yeah, that would, hang on, this is the comment I wanted. He said, it would be interesting to look at someone who's adopted children from abroad. Those cases are immigration nightmares. They end up being the most interesting, inclusive document procurement. And funnily enough, we were talking about that because I said earlier, how about doing Elton John and oh God, my brain's gone. His
Elton John.
Yeah, Elton John and David Furnish. You know, that would be an interesting one. But I mean, we just wait to hear. But another interesting one that I know a lot of people want to hear about because it has been so high profile was Prince Harry. Obviously moved from the UK to California. Tell us about that, because there's been a lot of discussion in the press about what sort of visa could he have gone in on.
Yeah, we decided to do this very much pre that in the press. It was definitely months later, where we then, Shai and I, sort of connected. Did you see this in the news? But we thought, I think at that time, a very interesting case study of a very high profile British national going to the States, and a consideration as well over kind of the fact that he's a spouse. But obviously, Shai, you're the US expert, so I'll let you talk.
Rekha and I, we were saying to ourselves, we really need to come out of the gate swinging. We have to do a big time celebrity. So Prince Harry was on a lot of people's minds. There's a lot of talk about what kind of visa Prince Harry could have in the United States. He has admitted in the past to, drinking while he was underage, to some drug use. He's committed some crimes, as they might say, right? And when you are coming to the United States and you need a visa, there are strict rules about those who have committed crimes. There are questions on applications. When you go and you interview at the embassy or the consulate for a visa, there's going to be questions about your criminal past. So the question is that did Prince Harry lie? Did he lie on his visa application to come to the United States? Now, once again, we don't represent Prince Harry, so we don't know what he told the U.S. Embassy. We don't know what he put in his visa applications. We're only going to guess. So we were thinking, and we were doing the research, and I hypothesized that Prince Harry might actually be in the United States in a specific visa category that would not have required him to divulge any of his criminal background. There is a visa category.
You say criminal background, but
I mean, he wasn't convicted, so he's not a criminal.
He's just admitted to things, yeah.
Criminal activities, things that weren't exactly kosher, as they say, right?
Is that stuff, sorry, just genuine question, is that stuff that you have to declare when you're going for your US visa?
In most visa applications, you would have to declare any types of, criminal activity or breaking the law, if you will. So we had to,
even if you haven't,
even if you haven't been convicted or if you haven't been arrested for it, you're supposed to declare what you've done in the past. Right. So while Prince Harry is not a criminal by any stretch of the imagination, he hasn't been convicted of any crimes that I know of, he still would have had to have divulged a lot of information about his past in order to get a visa. So are there any visa categories which would have allowed him not to divulge, these things? And there is actually the A1 visa category, and the A1 visa is for the heads of state of government. From a foreign government recognized by the United States. And the A1 visa can also apply to the immediate family members of the head of state, including the children. So we have a lot of information about that. I really encourage everybody to go back, listen to that episode. And we talk about the A1 visa category, how Prince Harry might qualify for it. And we think that he might be in the United States pursuant to an A1 visa, where none of those past transgressions would make a difference.
Oh, okay. I mean, that's, Nicholas said they technically do not even have last names. And then he said, Charles III does not even have a passport. That is something that I remember that it's an oddity in the UK is that the UK monarch does not have a passport because the passport is actually in their name. So they are the passport. But
it's fascinating, and that's the whole reason that we decided to do this podcast, because people of power, celebrities, they travel just like we do. They might take private jets, but they still travel. And we wanted to just bring their stories to life, and we wanted to talk about them, what the regulations that govern them are, have a fun conversation about it. And if you learn one thing about immigration, two things about immigration, we've done our job. And if you have fun with us and you like to hear Rekha and I banter about all kinds of things, it's another reason to listen to the podcast.
And I think they're really interesting, particularly that episode. We wanted to kind of bring out what challenges, I guess, celebrities could potentially encounter and make that relatable. You know, we know in the mobility world, we do deal with people that, you know, have these challenges or need to think about, you know, a criminal past and how does that actually affect your ability to move around the world. So, you know, we're just doing that in a very fun way. The other thing that, and I know the Beyoncé episode perhaps isn't the most popular amongst this audience, but
everybody loves Beyoncé. So
I love Beyoncé. It was one of my one of my favourites. But definitely an episode that where we got to speak about also with our UK experts business travel and what you can do as a business visitor versus, you know, getting another form of work authorization, whether that's in a creative category or a standard work category. And we try to make that kind of quite relevant to the mobility world, where we're having to think about that balance of, okay, you know, when can someone actually travel as a visitor, and they don't need to secure anything official versus, okay, we've got to go down a more formal route. So that was a really interesting episode for me, I thought, where we kind of explore that. We have a lot of conversations with clients. I think both Shai and I do on a regular basis about, you know, permissibility and options. So that's why we like to hypothesize in our podcast, because we then can give you a range of options that not, you know, won't always be relevant to the kind of, you know, standard working.
We definitely go down rabbit holes.
Have relevance.
Yeah. We definitely go down rabbit holes, don't we, Rekha? Because we're doing research about a celebrity, and then we find out, oh my goodness, there might be 5, 6, 7 different visa categories that they could qualify for. So we have to hone in on the most likely visa categories, and we tend to just, again, we're learning with the audience, I think, on some of these episodes.
It's fascinating. And you've talked about some other people as well. I know you've talked about Pharell Williams. I think, Shai, you were saying that's one of your favorite episodes.
Yeah. You know, Pharell Williams is one of the most prolific musical producers probably in the last 30 years or so. In the late 90s and early 2000s, he touched probably almost every famous hip hop song that you can think of. He's worked with everybody from Snoop Dogg to, why is this escaping me right now? Justin Timberlake to Britney Spears. He's worked with everybody, right? And most recently, Pharell was appointed the creative director of a very famous fashion house in France. So he and his family had to move to France. And we had a whole episode about how Pharell Williams, an American, can move to France and go there with his family and be the head of a fashion house in France. So we had one of our colleagues from our French office of Vialto, who joined us. Her name is Violaine Jassou. She joined us, and she gives you the rundown of what the visa options would be for somebody like Pharell. So whether it's music, whether it's fashion, whether it's sports, or whether it's actors and directors, we cover all the celebrities, and we're trying our hardest to cover a wide variety of celebrities. Pharell was just one of them, but I really did enjoy that episode because since I was, in my early 20s, I've really followed his career, and I think he's pretty amazing.
Yeah, cool. And I think what we definitely had fun talking about part of the process in France where you actually have to go in person, as you know, as part of formalities. And we were talking about, well, what does someone like Pharrell do in that situation? He'd be hounded. So
what, they have to go in person to some sort of tacky government office somewhere?
Yeah, it's really interesting to think about or imagine some of these celebrities actually having to go in person to an embassy or a consulate or a government office and showing up. And can you imagine the reaction of other people there when somebody like that shows up? So it must be pretty interesting.
We did have a solution for him, and it was, I think, on the door service with
there's special services.
He's got special services available to him. But yeah, that was good.
Money and fame can normally open some doors. Whether they can open the doors to the immigration authorities, maybe even those too. So we're getting some comments. Michelle said, very fun. She's just saved the Vialto On The Move podcast. She's looking forward. So we got you one extra listener.
Thank
I
you.
really do encourage it because it is a fun series. I'm trying to think who else.
And if I may, just anybody out there who hasn't listened to the podcast yet, downloaded the podcast, all you have to do is just go to your favorite place where you download podcasts, whether it's Apple, whether it's Spotify, whether it's Amazon. Look for Vialto's On the Move podcast. Just search for On the Move. And then under On the Move, you're going to see all of the Celebrities on the Move podcasts. And listen at your leisure. And I think you'll have fun with us.
And
they're bite-sized. They're not, you can listen to them on the go.
Yeah, exactly. It's available 7 days a week, 23 hours a day. The only time it's not available is on a Wednesday afternoon when this show is live. Podcast doesn't work at that point for some reason. But tell me, another one you talked about. I mean, I know you had Rafael Nadal was another one of your virtual guests. So tell us about him.
Yeah, and that was so unfortunate, wasn't it? Because he had an injury before we and had to pull out of the Australian Open tournament.
What we're trying to do is we're trying to time some of our episodes with actual events that are going around the world. So Rafael Nadal is one of the probably 3 greatest tennis players to ever play with Djokovic and with Federer. He was scheduled to appear like he does every year at the Australian Open this past January. So we did an episode about what it takes for a Spaniard like Rafael Nadal to compete in an Australian tennis tournament. Unfortunately, Rafael Nadal had to pull out of the Australian Open because he was injured. So we jinxed him. Perhaps we jinxed him. But we had another really great conversation with Sherry Wright in our Vialto Australia office. And Sherry gives us the breakdown of what a famous athlete like Rafael Nadal, what kind of visa, what kind of immigration regulations in Australia would govern his ability to play every year, basically, in Australia for the Australian Open. So I love Rafael Nadal. I think anyone who loves tennis, how could you not love him? He's such a humble guy. He's such a fun, he's such a nice person. I think he's nice. I've never met him, but he seems like a really nice guy. I'd love to meet him. And I enjoyed that episode as a big Rafael Nadal fan. Rekha, you're on the tennis courts all the time, right?
Oh, of course. Send you the pictures. But what we tend to do as well on every episode, and we did this with Rafa's as well, is then we talk about, what then would the celebrities be able to do if they wanted to stay in that country. So, if Rafa wanted to stay beyond his tournament, wanted to stay for 2 years, or wanted to become a permanent resident, is that possible? And so we've seen kind of similar themes come up in different countries. But yeah, have a listen, because that's probably one of my favorites as well. But yeah, we take you from, I guess, being able to visit, what is permitted from a work perspective, and then can someone become permanent resident or even get citizenship? And we've talked about citizenship really recently, haven't we, on the Mbappe episode?
Again, when it comes to, we try to time our episodes. That was interesting, that one, because you took Mbappe, who's a Frenchman playing in Germany, so all within Schengen, which really has got no immigration issues at all. But you made it really interesting, talking about how Schengen worked, which I thought was very, very clever and fascinating, learning all these people's backstories. We try again to time our episodes with things that are going on around the world. So Cillian Mbappe, a French footballer, was playing in Euro 2024 just this past June. So we decided to do a June episode with Cillian Mbappe. He's a French national going to play in Germany. Very easy, as we found out. There's not much that has to be done. Our great colleague Mustafa Masoud in our Vialto Germany office joined us for that episode. So we talked about the history of the European Union, free movement in the European Union, what that means, and we made an episode out of it. And again, we had a lot of fun.
And changes in German nationality law as well.
Right.
Really, really interesting. Yeah, it's a very educational episode. That one.
Brilliant. I'm going to bring onto the stage our changemaker Lily and our producer Tally as they come
This is going to stay in my head now the whole day.
We're going to play you out with the music. It's been so great having our guests on the show. It's been so great having everybody in the audience joining us. We're sad to be away, but we're taking a well-deserved break. And we will be back with we've got amazing episodes lined up for you in September. So everybody, you know what you have to do now. One last time.
Thank you so much, Brian, colleague, for having us on the show.
Bye, everyone. Have a wonderful vacation.
Take care. Have a great summer. And we will be back in September. Have a great vacation, everybody. See you in September.
Thanks, everybody.